Amara build. It's going to blow your mind, this build. I know a lot of you guys have been playing and running the melee build for Amara. Don't get me wrong, that build is absolutely OP. But if you're tired of running around smacking people with your hands and you wanted to get into something different, like I did, you're going to want to check out this Elemental Amara build. This is a completely customized build by myself. There's a lot of Elemental builds out there. A lot of them focus on different things. I'll let you guys know coming into this right now, this is a complete glass cannon build. You will need to be extremely aggressive with this build because it's based on lifesteal. So as long as you can be aggressive, you'll be fine. I'll show you guys some gameplay here. We are on Mayhem mode 3. I see you can't really see it because of my webcam in the way, but we're on Mayhem mode 3. We have minus 50% for sniper rifles and shotguns. We will show you guys some quick gameplay. So that absolutely shreds. And I absolutely get shredded as well. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's a glass cannon build, but you have to kind of ignore your shield for a bit because it's a lifesteal build. Now these guys are flamethrower heavyweights. They take a crap load of damage, but I'll show you right there. That's without, I'm trying to kind of take some shots here, but that's without my phase grasp on. Here we're gonna pop the phase grasp. Look at that damage. Half his health in half a second because he's in the phase grasp. I picked a great game to come in here. There's like 4 of these guys. That's 4 heavyweights I just took down in a few seconds. I went down twice, but that's because there's 4 heavyweights. You try to jump into 4 heavyweights and not go down, and unless you're a tank build, you're gonna go down. The point being that I got out of there alive and smashed those guys. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not that squishy. Like, most of the time, you're not going to have 4 heavyweights shooting at you at the same time. But the fact that you can get out of that situation alive is massive. Let me show you guys the skill tree and how it works and how everything copes together. Keep in mind, this is an elemental build. You're going to need elemental weapons, and you will need fast-firing elemental weapons because we will not be scoping into any fire rates in this build. Let's start with the mystical salt tree, guys. So what I need you to do with this tree, we're going to get our way all the way down to Wrath because this is the most important, 2 most important skills in this tree that you need to absolutely have. Here you can get Do Harm. You can split between these. This is completely up to you. It's the only really thing that I give you guys kind of freedom to do. I might even respect it myself. To gain your rush stacks. So I put all 5 in here. Killing an enemy grants Amara a stack of rush. You want to kind of have 2 different ways to get a stack of rush. So you might want to spec a couple more into Violent Tapestry, which allows you to get rush stacks from your status effects as well. Fire, whatever, shock, whatever it is, okay? Here you have Alacrity. Amara gains reload speed for every stack of rush. This is very important because you're going to have stacks of rush active all the time. You might as well take advantage of them and get the reload speed up. Transcend. Amara gains increased accuracy and critical hit damage. Plus 27% critical hit damage. It's a no-brainer. You need to have all 3 points in here. As far as Alacrity goes, you can also take these points out of here if you really feel that it's unnecessary and put them into your rush stacks. Everything else is basically you absolutely need it. Restless. A lot of people don't put all 5 points into Restless. You absolutely need to put them in because your action skill is where you get all your damage from. Most of your skills give you bonus damage when your action skill is in use. Well, how do you get your action skill in use? With a lower cooldown. It's a no-brainer, guys. So, all 5 points in there. If you can get a mod that even reduces that as well, like it's 5% every time. You must. Ascendant. It's 1 point. You're going to get 100% radius for a lure, which we're going to be using in this build. I highly recommend it. Laid Bare, 100% need all 3 points in here. Enemies take increased damage from all sources a few seconds after being damaged by Amara's action skill. That's a no-brainer. It's 25% after you use your phase grasp or whatever you're using. It's any build, you should be using this. Wrath, same thing. Wrath, the same thing. You should be using all your stacks in there. I have a mod that gives me an extra one. I'm looking for better mods, but you absolutely should have this maxed out. These are the two skills that you should be looking for your mods. Either Wrath or Laid Bare. Wrath gives you increased gun damage every time she activates her action skills for a few seconds. So that's another 25%. So between Wrath and Laid Bare, like, you're looking at 50% increased damage. It's a no-brainer. Let's move over to the other tree. I don't find that you need anything else on this tree. The rest of it is pretty much useless. Not useless, but not useful in this build, I should say. Okay. We're going to go to Fist of the Elements for the next build here. And we're going to go to Anima. Amara's status effects deals increased damage over time and have an increased duration. This is going to be great because it's going to increase our duration of our action skill, which means everyone's going to get phase lock for longer periods of time. Can't damage you when they're in the phase lock, so it helps you out with being a glass cannon specifically. You get a plus 100 at 5. I recommend put all 5 stacks in there. Over here, you're going to put 4 points into Infusion, converts a portion of damage dealt by Amara's weapon into her action skill element. So at this point, you're going to get 32% converted damage. Recommend you put the 4 points in there. It's quite useful. Wildfire. I like to use Wildfire because it's going to spread your status effects. Anything that has a status effect, you're going to get bonus damage from. So it's great to have a spread. You're going to have a skill that's going to link everybody together, which is going to make it easier for your spread chance. So you got 25% on that. You put 3 points in there. Tempest. Amara deals increased elemental shock damage is further increased. Elemental damage is increased by 30%. Your shock damage is increased by 20%, which brings me to just to quickly show you over here. Action skill element, you must use the electric skill. Reason being is most enemies have shields. The ones that don't are bare flesh, and they still take electricity damage. It's one of the most useful elements in the game. Most people think it's fire. I'd say electricity and fire are close to the same, and in this case we're getting an extra 20% damage on shock, so we might as well use it. The next one I'd say to get is Dread. That's just going to increase your gun damage by 15%. It's a no-brainer. Anytime any player is... whenever a player kills a grasped enemy, their current weapon is also instantly reloaded. And your gun damage is increased when you're grasped. So when you're using the phase grasp. In this case here, we're using Ties That Bind. So Amara summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground, locks the targeted enemies in place for a few seconds. Enemies near the grasped target, so you're grasped in this mode. That's what we need to get the increased damage on all our other skills. That's the point of using this. They're grasped, but they're also linked, and any damage dealt to the target is linked amongst the other targets that any damage is shared amongst your linked targets, which you get 35% damage dealt. Over here, you have your singularity that pulls in enemies. So your action skill damage is reduced by 20%, where you can kind of play with this one. If you don't want to pull in enemies, you'll gain that 20% action skill damage, but you can change it to the lifesteal. That helps a lot too. I may myself change it to the lifesteal. I'm still kind of working that one out. But this pulls enemies together. The next one we're going to do is 20% magazine size. It's an easy no-brainer. It's 1 point for 20% magazine size. You need the bullets. Amar's bullet, indiscriminate. Amar's bullets that damage enemies have a chance to ricochet. When a ricochet chance and damage are increased if the target is currently affected by phase grasp. So phase grasp is on. You're going to get increased chance and damage from ricochet. You're also going to get the chance to spread your status effect again, because bullets have corrosion or fire or whatever you have them set to. Sustainment. This is really important. It's nothing to do with damage other than converts a amount of lifesteal from your damage dealt. I recommend to put 4 points in this, if not 5, if you can fit it. If you have your own build, you can change mine. Of course, don't expect you to go word for word with everything, but this is a good build. Lastly, Forceful Expression. Forceful Expression is going to give you bonus 18% of elemental damage, and that is very, very, very important. And that brings me to the end of my build. I will show you quickly the less squishy version of it with the lifesteal augment, and now you're going to get that 20% elemental damage back. And I'll show you over here. We'll just do a quick Chupacabra run. These guys are a little bit weak monsters. Do a Chupacabra run and kill the other guys over here. I'm going to Phase Grasp. And that's with our shotgun, just completely shreds them. The Chupacabra goes like extremely high for some weird reason. That's a Chupacabra on Mayhem 3, completely shredded. That's the build, guys. If you want to look at the guns that I'm running, my 2 most recommended guns here are the Butcher. I don't have a good Butcher. You should get something with a higher elemental percentage. I'm looking, still trying to find. The long musket against flesh, it's just absolutely shreds. Highly recommend it. No matter what you guys use, make sure it has elemental. Do not use a gun that doesn't have an elemental chance. There's no point with this build. So that's that. Show you guys a little bit more of mob fighting, and then I hope you have fun, and maybe you can switch this around and get your own twist to my build. Always recommend everybody works out their own thing. Do one last stretch down here. Hopefully these guys are all revived now. Remember, when you're facing monsters like this, shock damage is just going to absolutely shred the shields. Oh, that's a perfect guy. That actually will shred his shield. And then you want to switch to Flesh Eater. There you go. Absolutely shred Mayhem 3 triple shielded opponent. Adios. Third gun here. The last gun's a rocket launcher. That's up to you guys what you guys want to do with the rocket launcher. All the guys here, that's going to grab them. You're going to get lifesteal as your phase grasping guys there. There's my lifesteal. Now, I personally don't think the action skill damage is enough that I want to use that lifesteal. So that's why I use the lure, because it just would have pulled those guys in there. I'd recommend you guys use a lure. The lifesteal is just not enough to make a difference. You're better off just shooting them and getting your 20% lifesteal back in damage. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy the build, and drop a comment, drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Das Boucher out.